Welcome to the Life Given Podcast, our 21st episode. I'm Isaac Lopez. So happy to have you guys with us today on your Monday morning as we jumpstart. Some of you are jumping into school today, but really, with the advent of fall, everything's starting to speed up, and it's starting to speed up a lot of places because of the election. And yet, we're setting time aside to do our Imago Day series, which is all about human trafficking, because we are all made in the image of God. And it is one of the most critical things that we need to be focusing on in our country right now. So we'll get back to current events. And I mean, this is happening currently. So I don't feel like I should waste time justifying it, but it is definitely very, very important to be aware of what's going on. And right now we're focusing on these Planned Parenthood videos that David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress have released 5 years ago, but now we're moving ahead and coming up to June 2020 when they release some of these videos. Some videos of Planned Parenthood under oath admitting certain things. I don't want to give it away. We're going to watch it here together now. And my only prayer is that something will come of this, that the law and the courts rather, because the law is the law, that the courts would not be corrupt and would prosecute to the furthest extent of the law. And we can get rid of Planned Parenthood once and for all. So here's a video, some footage of Planned Parenthood admitting under oath some damning evidence, some damning admissions. Now, David Daleiden is voicing over the portion of the video that we are going to watch together. So I may not speak throughout it much, but yeah, let's just get to it. I mean, this is the whole point why we're doing this series is, you may not have time out of your day, but if you are already watching and listening to the show on a regular basis, I just wanted to substitute this in. Let's jump into it. Here you go.
When the videos were released, Planned Parenthood denied selling body parts. We thought they might do this, so before the video release, we emailed Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast an undercover contract for $750 per fetal liver, $1,600 for liver thymus pairs. Planned Parenthood told Congress they rebuffed the deal, and the New York Times reported Planned Parenthood's assurances that the affiliate declined. But now, we know that Planned Parenthood lied to Congress and to the media because of the documents and testimony of Tram Nguyen, Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast Abortion Center director.
Also, I just want to pause it here. This is coming back to the entire term of valuable consideration. We discussed this in last week's episodes, but this is really where they're trying to hook Planned Parenthood.
It's an email from Robert Sarkis to Melissa Farrell and copies you and other people, dated June 30, 2015. And it attaches an agreement between Biomax and Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast. If you just turn to the last page of the document, it says that the fee to Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast for a fetal liver would be $750, and the fee for fetal liver and a thymus would be $1,600. This is an email chain between you and Doe 9012, who is the Regional Medical and Surgical Services Director, who we understand is Diane Santos. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
You say, FYI, we're still trying to move forward with this. She responds to you and says, do you want to do this? You respond to her and say, yes, ma'am. Do you remember that exchange?
Not until yesterday.
So you wanted to move forward with the contract we just saw with those price terms.
Objection is characterized in the document. Is characterized in testimony. I know I wanted to move forward with it.
Is there anything in writing that says that you didn't agree with the compensation?
Objection. Vague. No.
It's a federal crime to trade fetal tissue in exchange for valuable consideration. Valuable consideration means the benefits exchanged in a transaction, also called a quid pro quo, which means in Latin, one thing for that other thing. It's an intentionally broad term for any measurable exchange. The law means that if human fetal organs or tissue are being exchanged as the quid pro quo, or the pivot of value in a transaction, it is an illegal transfer of fetal tissue. This law makes sense because paying for something is a financial incentive to make more of it, and you can only get body parts by taking them out of another human being. So the purpose of law...
Oh, also, before we go further, I do want to warn you that there is some footage that we're going to be seeing here in the next few minutes that can be fairly startling. So just if you're watching this with your family, or if you're a little squeamish overall, maybe just listen as they work through some of this. Oh, hey guys.
Against trading valuable consideration for body parts is to stop any financial incentives to turn a human being into a commodity. Valuable consideration is not strictly about profit or reimbursement. It's about keeping any market forces away from organ donation, period. This is crucial in the context of abortion, where a pregnant woman is free to choose only up until the moment the fetus dies, and then the choice becomes irreversible. Democrat Henry Waxman, the author of the fetal tissue law, explained it this way.
This amendment that I'm offering in the nature of a substitute would enact the most important safeguards. And those are the safeguards to prevent any sale of fetal tissue for any purpose. It would be abhorrent to allow sale and a market to be created for that sale.
Representative Waxman later said, any price is unreasonable and illegal under this law. But Planned Parenthood's own documents show that market demand for body parts was the driving force in their fetal tissue deals. Emails from the biggest Planned Parenthood affiliate in the country, Planned Parenthood Marmonte, show how they switched from selling body parts to Advanced Bioscience Resources and partnered with STEM Express instead, because
We
STEM
looked at them on
Express offered
Friday.
a larger market and therefore more money to Planned Parenthood. In June 2010, the research director for Planned Parenthood Marmonte writes to Planned Parenthood Marmonte's medical director, Dr. Dorothy Ferguson, complaining that ABR has only showed up on Tuesdays a couple of times in the last month or two. In fact, the last invoice I sent to ABR was for 2 samples collected in April at the Sacramento abortion clinic. The research director says that Kate Dyer from STEM Express could really use Tuesday and Friday at the Sacramento B Street clinic. Her business is starting to take off, which is good for her and us as well. This might be a good time to think about severing our relationship with ABR. Sure enough, a few days later, Dr. Ferguson wrote back that Marmonte would be terminating their contract with ABR, giving STEM Express expanded, exclusive access to the abortion clinics. Watch what Dr. Ferguson said when confronted with these emails under oath.
Do you know if there was any discussion about whether or not STEM Express would send technicians to PPMM health centers on more days a week than ABR would have been doing at that time?
Objection vague.
I think that that's true, that it seemed that STEMX was working with more researchers perhaps than ABR was.
If STEM Express determined that a particular sample was not usable, would PPMM still get the $55 reimbursement for that sample?
No.
That's another important admission. Planned Parenthood has tried to say that they were only getting reimbursement for vague costs, but the STEM Express contract conditions the payment specifically on STEM Express being able to harvest usable body parts inside Planned Parenthood Marmonte. It's true the law allows reimbursements for specific costs when donating fetal organs for free, but there are 2 requirements in this limited exception. Number 1, the payments have to be reasonable reimbursements. And number 2, they have to be associated with these specific costs. Planned Parenthood didn't do any transportation, implantation, processing, preservation, quality control, or storage of the fresh body parts they sold to STEM Express. That was STEM Express's job. And the payments were totally disconnected from any actual costs. They were only associated with marketable body parts for STEM Express. That means no matter what kind of costs Planned Parenthood ever had, and there is no evidence they had any that were legal, Planned Parenthood was only paid and incentivized for the number of body parts that STEM Express could market.
Again, PPM will only be real.
You know, right there, that's really huge point. I mean, like that's just that's the whole world of difference. And you know, I watched a Vox video, which, you know, gotta love Vox, right before recording this episode, and it had been published 5 years ago, and it was talking all about like this thing that Daladin is talking about, the term. Because there is a law that allows some money to be exchanged, but it's only in the transportation, the care of the tissue, the baby body parts. And Planned Parenthood apparently is responsible for none of those things. So we'll keep watching. But that is just so crucial, and that's what a lot of people were saying. You know, I mean, at least that Vox video, it's just crazy stuff.
Reimbursed if a sample is actually usable, is that correct?
Yes.
So would it have been in PPM's best interest in seeking to recoup its costs if it would try to maximize the number of usable samples?
Objection, take, also speculation. In our mission to support medical research, it would be, we would have liked to provide usable samples to further medical research.
$55 per usable body part, plus $10 for an accompanying blood sample. Might not seem like a lot of money, although people go to jail for selling illegal drugs for less. But when you consider Planned Parenthood Marmonte does 17,000 abortions a year, that cumulative $65 fee adds up quickly. Clinic owners told us undercover that they were looking at numbers of up to $250,000 a year from selling body parts to STEM Express. But under oath, Planned Parenthood and fuel trafficking witnesses have been conspicuously silent about the total amount of money they were able to achieve under these contracts.
Has she ever conveyed to you that they're projecting $250,000 in revenue from fetal tissue sales to STEM Express?
Don't answer that question.
At a NAF conference.
Do not answer that question.
Have you discussed projected revenues abortion clinics can expect as a result of working with ABR at NAF conferences?
And you are instructed not to answer that question.
These invoices sent from Planned Parenthood Marmonte to STEM Express show Planned Parenthood making over 5-figure sums for just 1 month of body part supply. It's no wonder STEM Express advertised a financial benefit and fiscal rewards to clinics who would open their doors to its harvesting team.
On the first page of this pamphlet, it says the clinic can advance clinical biomedical research. It has a bullet point that says financially profitable. Did you understand that they're going to use this brochure or poster with your quote in order to seek to obtain more potential sources of fetal tissue?
Objection, explanation, also speculation. Yes, I understood that that's what they were trying to do.
Planned Parenthood National knew that deals like this were going on. They had a special top-level meeting about it in early 2011, involving top lawyer Roger Evans, the PPFA research department, and Dr. Deborah Nicotola, the top abortion doctor.
Do you remember any affiliates telling you directly which tissue group you replaced the other?
I do. I remember the affiliate, which was called Shasta Pacific at the time, sending an email to medical services telling us they were working with STEM Express.
What was said in that email to the best of your memory?
I don't remember the exact email, but from my recollection, the gist of it was they wanted us to know that they were working with STEM Express and thought that they were, it was a good relationship, and wanted to know if there was a way to let other affiliates know the opportunity.
PPFA's discussions about affiliates getting paid for fetal tissue in early 2011 led to the reissuance of a 10-year-old memo about the federal law. Yet PPFA willfully turned a blind eye to whether or not affiliates followed the memo.
Find out that LA and Monte were getting payments.
Because when the whole video thing happened, everybody started I don't know, assessing the situation, I guess.
Okay. So before the whole video thing, you had no knowledge that those two affiliates were receiving payments for fetal tissue?
I knew LA was getting payments because it was a provider there.
Did you ever follow up with them to ensure that they complied with this guidance from PPFA?
I did not.
Why not?
I'm not sure why I would need to.
So this guidance was coming out from PPFA. You happen to work at one of the affiliates, and they happen to have a fetal tissue donation program, and you happen to be privy to all of these guidelines that are being issued and memos that are being issued. That's why I'm asking if you followed up with the affiliate that you were working with to make sure they were complying with PPFA's guidance.
Missed the record as to the chronology. Asked and answered last Foundation.
Okay, so I have a two-part answer for you. Number one, I don't know when the PPLA started participating in this program, so I couldn't tell you the date. So I don't know that they were necessarily doing it when this memo was recirculated, number one. Number two, I assume that the medical leadership of the affiliate had it taken care of.
Who is the medical leadership of the affiliate?
I mean, isn't this just the term plausible deniability? I mean, like the leadership is looking the other way, although they know that some of, like the LA PPA Planned Parenthoods are caught up in this stuff, and they totally have the authority to shut it down. I mean, I'm not surprised that they don't, because they're involved in the killing of millions of children a year.
I can tell you who the medical director is. I can't tell you the whole team, but the medical director was Mary Keller.
I was approached by representatives of Novogenics. I had been involved, as we discussed, in tissue programs before. I obtained a waiver from PPFA to start this program, and that's how we started.
Was Novogenics a not-for-profit or a for-profit?
I believe it was a for-profit.
Novogenics shut down. And then Da Vinci companies admit guilt for selling fetal body parts. Interesting. Wow. So ABR is still out there kicking. I thought that STEM Express had replaced them, according to the last video, but they're still out there kicking, and the Supreme Court still hasn't made a move yet. And that was back in 2017, right? Wow. Honestly, that just seems very incriminating. And I think this may be our last episode here, looking at Planned Parenthood and the investigation done by David Dalladin. But here under oath, the whole term valuable consideration, they showed that they switched over from ABR to STEM Express because STEM Express was coming more frequently to their clinics. And they were receiving payments from Stim Express, even though if what Dallin had said was true midway through that video, Planned Parenthood wasn't doing any of those things that would allow them lawfully to receive those payments. So very, very incriminating things, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Reach out to me at thelifegivenandreceived@gmail.com, The Life Given News on Facebook. If you enjoy what you are listening to, do leave us a 5-star review there. Just give us a review for the podcast specifically. Reach out to me on Parler at TLG Podcast and on Instagram at _TLG Podcast _. And like I mentioned recently, just joined LinkedIn, but we'll look more into that. But yeah, reach out to me. Let me know what you think. And at the Life Given News, the Life Given Podcast Conversation Group, it's just crazy that all of this is happening. And it's just kind of been swept under the rug until recently when CMP, released this footage on Planned Parenthood back in June, and it started to get some more traction. But I just wanted to be a part of it and help share information. So let me know. Like and share the show if you find it useful, and share this video, or go and share, better yet, the video we watched today with your friends and family. Remember that the life that you've been given and the life that you've received includes every area of life. Current events are no exception. God bless.